Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Ah, well, I don't know about you, but look, every time I start a live, the big dog goes off to have a drink of water. Like, what does it make you thirsty when I start a live, Princess Tia? Oh, what a life, what a life. Anyway, in this video, what we're going to talk about is Dezi Freeman. We're going to have a look at the police. So I did a live very early this morning, as far as Spanish time is concerned, with the breaking news that Dezi Freeman, this so-called sovereign citizen who did not believe in the state, who's been on the run since August last year, an awful long time. But it turns out he's been hiding out in a sort of shipping container stroke caravan on a farmer's land over there in Australia. And where do we go with this? I mean, anyway, what we're going to look at in this video is we're going to look at the two police conferences there's been so far. There's the very first police conference that announced the news that had been found deceased, or not saying it was Dezi, but a man that they believe was Dezi, but he has to be formally identified. Then there was another police conference just literally a couple of hours ago, giving an update on what they can give an update on. But basically, the upshot is that this guy, Dezi Freeman, in August last year, he was, a whole busload of police went to his house to arrest him with an arrest warrant for an SEX charge. It's a bit unclear exactly what he was being accused of, but they had a warrant for his arrest, and I think they had a search warrant. I'm not sure, but anyway, these two policemen were murdered. Shot while Dezi was resisting arrest. He shot these two police officers, and they died. Another police officer was seriously wounded, and another one was wounded, but maybe not so seriously. So, he's got a lot. It's big crime that Dezi committed. He then ran off and disappeared. And for a while, there was a big manhunt for him. Then the police decided in February this year, they announced that they thought he was deceased, that he'd probably taken his own life. And then they did a searching for his body, but they found nothing. And that was, I think, made on the assumption because a single shot had been heard by a local resident, and they thought, yeah, this is Dezi probably took his own life. Anyway, that's all, not true. Dezi was, we don't know how long he's been living at this place. That's quite a bit of a distance away, travelled quite a bit of a distance away on a farmer's land in the shipping container stroke caravan. Apparently there's quite a few of them on this person's property. The person who owns the property, the police know who they are, but they haven't found them yet, apparently. There was $1 million reward, Australian dollar reward, put out for Dezi. So I don't, the police apparently received a tip-off. Whether someone's going to be in line for that reward or not, we just don't know. There's a lot more to come out about the full circumstances. But what we're going to look at in this particular video, because of course they'll be looking as well at his wife. Did she know where he was? I mean, this is a very, it's a very difficult subject, this, I find, because although Dezi, there's a lot of sympathy for Dezi. There's a lot of people out there, especially in Australia, that believe in sovereign citizens and think that Dezi had a point and that the Australian police is corrupt. Dezi himself had said that the only good cop is a dead one, which is, we've got to think of the families of the officers that were killed while they were just doing their job. And Dezi, I feel for Dezi's family, but, I do feel that it's Dezi who brought this on himself. He shot the police officers. He knew what the repercussions would be. He then went in on the run, and it was his family that had to face all the, the repercussions and the questioning and, suspicions, etc. Dezi's been off the grid since August 2025 last year. So I've got mixed feelings, anyone who kills anybody else, especially, law enforcement, who are just, at the end of the day, they're doing their job. There's no reason to think that these particular officers did anything bad to Dezi except tried to arrest him. Maybe Dezi thought he was in threat of his own life, I don't know. But anyway, he wasn't so lucky the second time in the recent standoff that they've had yesterday. Apparently it was a 3-hour standoff. They tried their best to get him to surrender voluntarily, but he wouldn't. And now he's dead. So he was shot multiple times. Not just by one officer, but we're going to see the police saying that anyway. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. First of all, I just want to say to you, let me put the pictures of the victims up just briefly. First of all, I want to say to you, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. Special thank you to my members and anyone who's bought me a Ko-fi. This is my Ko-fi banner. If you want to support my channel a little bit further, other people do it by becoming members or sending super stickers or PayPals, etc. Thank you so much for anything you do to support my channel in a positive way. It's very much appreciated. And first of all, don't forget to leave your DNA on the like button and your fingerprint on the subscribe button. These are free ways you can support my channel. Okay, so we're going to have a look first at the first press conference that was done when we first learned in the early hours of the morning as far as Spain is concerned, because of course that's where I'm based, and we are at an opposite time zone to Australia where all this took place. So we're going to look at the very first press conference with the lead detective speaking about the fact that finally, after all these months, where the police have been searching for Dezi, it's probably cost a fortune, but it had to be done. I mean, Dezi was a dangerous fugitive because as far as they knew, he had a weapon. They didn't know if he was dangerous to the general public as well. I mean, you just don't know, do you? So it's been difficult. Now, I don't know that there'll be celebrations. You can't ever celebrate, in my opinion, when somebody dies. It's not appropriate, is it? Dezi, me, is a very complex character. Like some people, when we hear of their demise or of them being arrested or given their life sentences or whatever, we are glad, and it's good because somebody's been taken out of circulation. And I think we do feel like that up to a point with Dezi, but I don't know what it is with Dezi. It's not. I don't feel sympathy for Dezi. Dezi made these choices. He chose to do what he did. Chose to, in the final standoff, draw out his weapon rather than let the police talk him down. So it's difficult to feel sympathy, but I do feel sympathy for Desi's family, very much so. He's still their dad, he's got children. It's still there's a wife there that's lost a husband. And as far as the offences that he's supposed to have committed, which all brought about this circumstance, like the SEX offences, we have to wait and see about those. We don't know the full details of those yet, and when those details come out, maybe we'll think he got everything he deserved, because it's supposed to be crimes against a minor, SEX crimes against a minor within the last 2 years. And also, of course, he's killed these 2 police officers. So, we've got our sympathy is limited. And that's what I'd like you to tell me. What do you think? Do you think Dezi has been misjudged somehow? Or do you think he was forced into the situation by the police? Or do you think he's got what's coming to him? I mean, I know there's people out there who have a lot of sympathy for Dezi, and I also know there's a lot of people out there who are not sympathetic towards him at all. So don't forget, let me know what you think. Okay, so let's have a look at this very first press conference that came out. Just go it to the beginning.
Fatally.
So don't forget to let me know that you can hear it okay.
Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us this morning. As you know, I'll make a brief statement about Operation Summit, and then I'll be as the fatally shot a man into the shooting of 2 police officers. Whilst it's being reported that person is Desmond Freeman, we have to run through a very formal identification process. So Victoria Police at this stage, identity of that person until that process has been undertaken. The operation concluded this morning following an operation that has been ongoing since the 26th of August last year. Summit investigators. Whilst there will be a professional standards command and a coroner's hearing into this matter, everything I know at this point tells me that this shooting was justified. As I said.
Now, you're already saying this. If they had a 3-hour standoff with him, I think you can assume that they were trying to take him alive. Otherwise, they could have just gone in there, couldn't they? Apparently, it has been recorded, so maybe we'll see some recording further down the line of the situation and standoff with Dezi. There'll be people out there who will think that, the police are conspiring and they've just shot him, anyway. I don't know. I doubt it. The only reason that I doubt it, I know there's probably a lot of police out there that would have quite liked to have shot him because, at the end of the day, it was 2 of their own who died and another one that was severely injured. But the thing is, they know this case is not only in the national spotlight, it is in the international spotlight. It's been reported on news all over the world. So they know that the eyes of the world are on them. So you would hope that they would try their best to abide by rules. But only time will tell that, and I know a lot of people perhaps will never believe it.
The operation was conducted by professionals from Victoria Police. The very first people to be made aware of the outcome of this operation of the officers tragically killed on the 26th of August, and all of the members that were involved on that day. What I can say, should it be confirmed that the deceased is Freeman, this brings closure to what was a tragic and terrible event.
So a tragic and terrible event. So yeah, this busload of officers turned up at Dezi Freeman's property to serve him with this arrest warrant, and 2 of them died. 1 was injured badly and another was injured also. Now I imagine, apparently there were 10 officers there. I imagine the other officers will have PTSD, survivor's guilt, all those kind of things. So they've probably had to have counselling. Then of course there's the families of the victims, but also there's Dezi's family. Dezi had quite a large extended family apart from his wife and his children. He had a 2-year-old child, so there's a lot of people that are going to be affected by this. So I hope they take them all into account, because everyone who didn't have anything to do with it is an innocent, whether they're Dezi's family or not. And Dezi, though, I do think we have to remember he took the choices. He's hurt his own family by his actions. Most people think about their families. If you would think about your family, you wouldn't want your child, to grow up without a father or a mother if you're a woman. So, Dezi has to take accountability for his own actions. But that doesn't mean to say that I don't feel sympathy for his family. It doesn't mean to say I don't feel sympathy for Dezi, because it seems to me from researching him, there's some mental health issues involved here, but that doesn't make it right what he did, taking those policemen. 1 was right on the verge of retirement, so it took his retirement away from him. The other one was a younger officer who was on the verge of a possibly glowing career, and then their families and what they've got to suffer.
I would also like to acknowledge at this point the investigation team for their absolute professionalism, perseverance, and diligence in bringing this to a conclusion. We are privileged to have these investigators as part of Victoria Police, and they were ably assisted by the entire organisation. I would also like to acknowledge our partners, every jurisdiction across Australia and New Zealand assisted in this operation. And as I stand here, I have the lead investigators for this matter again. I would also like to acknowledge the community of Punka and the surrounding area for their patience and their perseverance also. That part of Victoria, everything we can to assure them to a conclusion. Just in closing, I would like to say it's early days in terms of this phase of the investigation. There's lots to be done. We will keep the public via the media updated about how this matter unfolds and is concluded. And I want to thank you for your support and attention during this tough time. It's over 6 months. And again, acknowledge the investigation team for their persistence and
So yeah, a very long time, isn't it? Since August, 6 months, more than 6 months. And it went from sort of there being sightings and then them investigating all of Desi's friends, and then to finally in February them saying that they believed he was dead. Now, of course, that could have been a deliberate thing that they said there so that he would relax a little bit, or you just don't know, or maybe they really did believe he was dead because of that gunshot that had been heard. I thought he perhaps was dead somewhere. I just reminded, it gave me those sort of Travis Decker vibes. I didn't think he would have fled the country. There were talk that he might have, gone off to a completely different country, etc. I didn't think that had happened. I thought he would be reasonably nearby one way or another. But yeah, I mean, he had resources, didn't he? Off he went. He must have had help along the way. So the police are now saying we'll look at this a bit more in detail on a next, because we'll be covering this investigation as it goes along. Um, anyone who did help him is going to be punished, if the police find out that they have. But somebody, somewhere along the line, maybe for the reward money, or may, I mean, I believe it was a tip-off. I don't think he's been caught because of police, investigations. I believe it is a tip-off. But again, these are things that will come out as time goes on. But anyone who has helped him, they're going to, I mean, they may have been frightened. That's something, I've done enough of these cases to know that when people go on the run, someone turns up at your door with a gun and says, look, you've got to help me, threatens your family, because that's quite often what they do. I'm not saying this is what Dezi has done. I'm saying that it does happen. I've seen it in other cases that I've looked at. They don't threaten you, they threaten your family. And so people are often quite scared, too scared to go to the police. But I wonder if someone's been lured out by the promise, just found out something recently, lured by the reward money. Will they get that reward money? They should do if they've, at the end of the day, there's $1 million Australian dollars up for a reward. And if somebody has tipped off the police and it's led to the capture of Dezi, or sadly the death of Dezi, but, the end of the investigation, they should receive that reward money, shouldn't they? But they hopefully, they would remain anonymous, of course, because they could be in danger, even though Dezi is deceased, because Dezi had a lot of supporters. So it'd be interesting to find out exactly what his progress was from his home to end up in this place. Who helped him along the way? How did he do it? Anyway, and you'll see in the next police interview we're going to look at, when the policeman was asked if he looked as if he was malnourished, or he says, no, not really. So, he's eaten. Don't know if he's had internet access, but he's, he hasn't survived since August last year without any food or water. So one way or another, he's been provided for.
Perseverance. Thank you. I'll open up for questions.
Commissioner, can I ask the most recent update on police was that the strong belief was that Dezi Freeman was dead? Or were there tactics involved there? Can you explain that?
Absolutely. That's a very good question, because a lot to suggest that Freeman had taken his own life. Our investigators, that's why they're professionals, keep their mind open to every possible outcome and follow every possible lead.
What was the lead? Well, can you give us an idea of what's led to this morning?
The perseverance and the persistence of of this investigation team exploring every other avenue that was open to encourage the person to come out. We're examining the sequence. It did result from a standoff, the deployment of tactics. He then exited the building. There was an opportunity for him to surrender peacefully, which he did not.
Did he fire a weapon?
We're working through the sequence of that. We strongly believe, yet to be confirmed as well, that he was armed.
How long did you know he was at that location, and how quickly did you turn around that operation?
I won't go into the specifics of that, only to say that it's part of that ongoing.
How many were involved in that operation this morning? Was it one team, or was it just?
It was a very large team, a very wide team, as I said, led by our Special Operations Group with the support of many others, and obviously the investigators from Task Force Summit.
You mentioned a building. We have reason to believe it was actually a container. Can you give any further information about that?
It's a very similar construction to a container, but it wasn't a container. I would describe it as a cross between a container and a very long caravan.
There was also suggestions that he came out wrapped in a blanket and armed with a weapon. Can you confirm that?
Possible. That will form part of the investigation. A lot of the information we have is yet to be confirmed, but that is my understanding at this stage.
Exactly what location was he found in, and do you know how long he'd actually been in that spot for?
That will also form part of our ongoing investigation.
Was it in Walwa?
Pardon?
Was it in Walwa?
I'm not going to confirm that at this stage, but we will share those details. We have a crime scene. Many investigators, including the coroner, are heading there to conduct the ongoing investigation that results.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there because all the questions that they ask, he can't answer because it's an investigation. So now I just want to show you the second press conference. All I really want to show you in this video are the two press conferences. Let's find this one. So this is the second press conference that was held a little later on, actually at the scene. And so let's have a listen to what this guy's got to say.
As you can see behind me is the scene of the incident where our police operators this morning negotiated with a person we believe to be Freeman, the person responsible for brutally murdering two of our good people and seriously injuring one other. I spoke this morning about the ongoing investigation. What's occurring behind us is an independent investigation around what occurred today, but also an investigation into how, when we do identify the deceased, how that person came to be here. I've said that it's an independent investigation. The state coroner, Judge Sanger, has visited the scene today. She will lead the independent investigation around this. Obviously, the coroner investigates all deaths. The coroner has been supported by Victoria Police, by our Homicide Command, and also by our Professional Standards Command. I also said earlier on that I'm very comfortable with the actions of our staff. I repeat that. Everything I have seen, everything I have been briefed upon, tell me that our officers acted appropriately. It's quite clear to us now that the deceased was given every opportunity to resolve this peacefully and did not take that option. I have seen a video of the deceased leaving the building and presenting a firearm at our officers. That action took away any discretion our officers had.
So he's saying very specifically there that he's seen video that Dezi came out and brandished a weapon at the officers. And according to him, and of course everybody, you'll either believe him or not believe him. I'm hoping that we will see some video evidence eventually. According to him, that is what resulted in Dezi being shot, which really you can understand. If that's true, if he came out brandishing a weapon after all those couple of hours of talking and he wouldn't surrender his weapon or he wouldn't surrender himself, it does get to a point where you leave the police in no other option than to shoot you, I suppose. Anyway, let me know what you think. It's very sad. Nobody wants a death of any kind, really, especially in these sort of circumstances. A man who has children. But, then at the end of the day, he killed 2 people, one of which had children, and both of which had families. And he took away the potential for the younger policemen to ever have children. This is not good, is it? Whichever way you look at it. But there is part of me that does feel it's very sad for Dezi and his children as well.
To resolve this peacefully. Of course, having said that, the independent investigation will look at all aspects. I also want to add that today I've spoken to Vadim's parents in person. They're here in Melbourne. They are very spoken this morning also to the officer who was seriously injured. He too is happy that there is closure. I'm yet to speak to, but have every intention of speaking to Neil Thompson's partner, but I'll do that as soon as possible. The investigation that's being conducted behind us will take many days, and as information comes to hand, we'll be very happy to share it with you, information that we can share with you. So I now stand by for your questions.
Were there any shots fired towards police?
That will form part of our inquiry. We've got mixed reports on that, but we need to do a forensic examination of a weapon found near the deceased's body to ascertain or confirm whether shots were fired by the deceased from that weapon.
Have police had a chance to seize any evidence from the property, including Freeman's belongings?
The scene has been locked down, secured, and the scene examination is only commencing now. As you can imagine, with a serious crime scene like that, we have protocols and procedures to follow. We have to be absolutely meticulous, and that will commence this evening and carry on for the next few days.
Is there any evidence of other people being at this property with this?
Over the last 24 hours, so as far as we can tell, there has been no one else the deceased at this property. That doesn't...
And a substantial person of interest in relation to helping Freeman?
We're still trying to locate and speak with that person. We know who that person is, but we're yet to speak with him.
Is he known to police?
I couldn't tell you that, whether I knew it or not.
Is there any indication how long Dezi have been at the property?
No, that will also form part of the inquiry. Very important for us to understand how long he's been here and who else was complicit in getting him here and then caring for him or providing him with food and other things to this point.
Why haven't you spoken to the property owner?
Well, because they're not there.
Is it possible his weapon belonged to one of the victims in August?
Yes, it's quite possible that the weapon that was that is at the scene was one of our officers' weapons.
listen, somebody's got to have been taking food for Dezi or whatever. I mean, he couldn't just go off to his local supermarket, could he? And, get himself a big shop. It's like somebody's been feeding him, taking him food, taking him water, giving him information about what's going on. He may have even had a phone there. He may have had internet coverage, even though it's like right out in the boonies there, but it doesn't mean to say there's no internet, does it? He's doing a live police conference here, right out in that area. So there's obviously some sort of communication network out there. Yeah, who's been helping Dezi? Now, I was just looking on the internet, and the police have said they're looking at anyone who was aiding and abetting him. They're looking at 20 years, possible 20-year imprisonment themselves. Aiding and abetting a double police killer, double cop killer, any sort of murderer, but especially a double cop killer, isn't it? So, yeah, no wonder they can't find the owner of that property. God knows he'll be on the run now. There'll be a manhunt for him.
As yet, we've seen that weapon, but we haven't examined the weapon to this point.
How are you going about retracing Dezi Freeman's steps from Port Concord to this property?
Yeah, that's a really important question and a really important fact that our investigators will work their way through. We'll probably have to track back from this point to when he was last seen.
How long did the situation go for this morning?
Our people have been on site for over 24 hours. We began negotiating with the deceased at about 5:30 a.m. During those negotiations, the deceased did share information to confirm who he was. And it ended about 3 hours later.
Could Marley Freeman still face charges?
That's a matter for the investigation.
Have police spoken to her today?
We have been in touch with the deceased's family to make sure that they have enough information or were informed before they heard about this through media sources.
Is there any further information about what led police to this property?
There is a lot of investigation that are known, a lot of information known to the investigators that will never be shared, obviously, because it's confidential.
Has anyone claimed the reward? Or will anyone be claiming
the same answer to that.
How are the SOGI members doing today?
The SOG members are currently being supported through this. They have...
I'm just thinking about the reward. I mean, it's a massive reward, isn't it? I don't think we'll ever find out if anyone's claimed that reward or not, or if anyone gets it, because that will make them a target, won't it? And they say, oh yeah, we're going to give the reward to Joe Bloggs because he's the one who phoned up and said Dezi was there, which resulted in us being able to go and shoot him. He's going to be a marked man with Dezi's supporters, or woman with Dezi's supporters. So I think even if that reward is ever paid, I think it will be confidential.
Have obviously protocols and procedures to go to, and we'll sit down and debrief with them further in a day or two. But thank you for your concerns around them. They've acted with absolute professionalism. And I've said everything I've seen and everything I've been briefed on makes me comfortable, very comfortable with their actions.
In terms of the video footage you saw, could you talk us through those moments when Freeman emerged from the building, and were any tactical options deployed by the SOG that forced you out of that container?
Yes, we tried everything possible, every tactical option that we have to encourage the deceased to end this in a safe and peaceful manner. They weren't taken. I won't go into what those tactics were, but I can assure you that they were applied.
What's in the container? Were there any personal belongings?
Yet to be ascertained.
When can the public expect for the deceased to be formally identified?
That will happen within the next 24 to 48 hours. The scene's still contained, the deceased still on site So that will take some time. We're confident of who that person is, but before we confirm 100%, we want to do it forensically.
How momentous has this day been for Victoria Police, and what are you hearing from your members on the ground today?
It's a very significant day for the Victoria Police. We've had massive focus from all of our people, operationally, but also emotionally invested in this. Everyone wanted this to end peacefully. Everyone wanted closure. Unfortunately, we've only got one of those two things, but our people are very happy that there is closure to this.
Should Marley Freeman have been brought in this morning to try to end this in a different way?
That was a matter for the tactical options, but that wasn't feasible.
Is anyone else under arrest or being questioned in relation to possibly harbouring Freeman?
Not at this point. Quite possibly so in the future, but not at this point.
If people are found to have helped Dezi Freeman, what's the consequence going to be for them?
It's a significant sentence in the courts of Victoria, but that's always a matter for the presiding judge.
There were reports that Freeman emerged with a blanket over his body. Would those be accurate?
That's quite possible. It's quite likely. I won't describe exactly what it is until we have it confirmed. But he did have something over his shoulders. The video I've seen, he then pulled a firearm from underneath that and presented it at our people.
Are you able to say, Commissioner, whether Freeman had changed his appearance at all?
Not willing to go into that. I have seen photographs of him prior to this, or very immediately before this. His appearance was enough to satisfy our people that was him.
It was just one gunshot fired.
By whom are you talking?
Police.
No, there were multiple operators that fired.
Is there anything to suggest that he was here the entire time? Or...
Multiple operators that fired, so that makes me feel even more that he did pull a gun out at them. So it seems like a few of them all fired at the same time, but unless one fired and the others thought, oh, we'll fire just so that it looks better for him, you know. I mean, police do stick together, they're bound to, I suppose. But anyway, we'll just watch this to the end and then I'll be going. But please let me know what you think. Do you trust the police at all? Or do you think, you know, this was an execution?
We will work that out. We will track backwards from here to ascertain how long he's been here and who helped him to be here.
Was this area ever considered by Victoria Police to be searched?
Nothing's been ruled out. Nothing has ever been ruled out of this inquiry.
Did Dezi appear malnourished or anything like that?
I couldn't say, but certainly not from the photographs I saw.
Did he say anything when he was coming out of that container or beforehand?
I don't believe so, but I can't confirm that one way or the other. I think a lot of these questions are now getting into the investigation, so I'm very happy to talk to you at a later date. I think I'll do some media back at the station nearby, but unless there are any other pressing.
Yeah. So basically, in the end, they're asking questions that you can't answer yet, but we'll get the answers. I hope we'll get the answers anyway. Let me just, where am I going to there? So yeah, as always, let me know what you think about this case. It's nice to see, you know, and I don't mean it's nice to see that Dezi is dead, but it's nice to see a resolution. So many cases we're following at the moment, no resolution. The case that's really haunting me at the moment is Nancy Guthrie, and I'm sure a lot of you out there. And I want to do an in-depth, you know, there's no news at the moment anyway, as far as I know, about Nancy until Nancy's case has been sorted. I don't know about you, but this terrible anxiety I'm feeling about, you know, just covering true crime, it does make you anxious, of course, because you've seen the worst of people. But Nancy's, I don't know, it gets right under your skin, doesn't it? I think vulnerable woman like that, 84 years old, plucked from her bed in the middle of the night. So we'll be looking at that anyway as soon as there's any news. I'll be keeping you up to date with the Dezi investigation. But at the end of the day, the hunt is over. Whatever happens in the investigation, Dezi Freeman is no longer on this earth anyway. And now he'll be being judged by his God, whoever it is. And, you know, at the end of the day, he was the one that killed the 2 police officers. So it's him who's hurt his family, not the police. It's him who's done it. And he's been making that choice for quite a few years. Now, maybe he was right to do it. I don't know. And maybe he will end up some sort of anti-hero, some sort of martyr to the world of sovereign citizens. But let me know what you think. Do you think that he should be looked on as a martyr, or should it be looked on as, well, good? You know, somebody who killed 2 people and he's got his just desserts. Let me know what you think. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. May your God go with you. Bye.